The battlefield was silent. The war had ended. But the ground still carried the smell of smoke and blood. Rusting machines stood broken, their metal bodies half buried in mud, and in the middle of that silence walked a man, a soldier who no longer wore his army colors. His name was Marcus. He had fought for many years, moving from one bloody world to another. He had lost friends, lost his home, and lost even the meaning of why he fought. The war was finally over. But for Marcus, there was no peace, only emptiness. He carried scars across his arms and face. Every scar had a story. A reminder of battles he wished to forget, but one memory refused to fade: the face of the alien king, the cruel ruler who had led armies against Earth and its allies. The same king who had unleashed terror with a monster no one could stop. A dragon unlike anything seen before, a beast so feared that even saying its name made soldiers tremble. The dragon had burned cities, crushed tanks, and swallowed whole squads of men. It was a weapon of fear, a creature of nightmares, and Marcus had seen it with his own eyes. He had seen the sky turn red with its fire. He had seen brave men run in terror, and he had sworn that if the beast ever crossed his path again, he would die before letting it live. Now the war was over, and the alien king was dead. But the universe never gave Marcus rest. One evening, as he sat alone in a ruined barrack, drinking from an old flask, a messenger arrived. It was not a human soldier, but an alien servant dressed in black armor. The servant bowed and spoke with a cold voice. "The king has left you an inheritance," it said. Marcus laughed bitterly. "Your king hated me, and I hated him," he replied. "What could he possibly leave for me?" The servant's eyes did not blink. "It is not gold, it is not land, it is not power," the alien whispered. "It is the dragon." Marcus froze. His flask slipped from his hand and spilled on the dirt floor. He stared at the messenger, thinking it was a cruel joke. But the alien did not laugh, did not move. "The beast is yours now," the servant said. By order of the dead king, anger and confusion burned inside Marcus. Why would the alien king give his greatest weapon to the very man who had fought him for years? It made no sense. It smelled of a trap. Still, something inside Marcus wanted to see it, wanted to face it again. Perhaps destroy it once and for all. The next morning, Marcus was taken by a group of alien guards to a hidden fortress. The fortress was buried deep in the mountains, away from cities and away from the eyes of the people. The air grew colder. As they moved underground, every step echoed on metal floors. The guards walked with fear in their eyes. Not one of them looked comfortable. They all kept their hands on their weapons. Finally, Marcus reached a chamber sealed with heavy steel doors. The guards unlocked them slowly, their hands shaking. Inside was a cage larger than any Marcus had ever seen. The air was hot, heavy, and filled with the smell of ash. And then he saw it. The dragon. Its body was massive, covered in black scales that glimmered like polished stone. Its wings folded tightly, but even folded, they stretched across the cage. Its eyes glowed with a deep red light, and even behind thick bars, Marcus felt the heat of its breath. The guards whispered among themselves, "This is the cursed beast." One said, "The monster that killed thousands," said another. They kept their distance, refusing to look at it directly. But Marcus did not look away. He stared at the dragon, and memories of fire and screams rushed back. His fists tightened. If this cage opened, he would fight it to his last breath. Then something impossible happened. The dragon moved its head, slowly turning its burning eyes toward Marcus, and in a voice that was calm, deep, and human, it spoke. "Marcus," the dragon said, "I've been waiting for you." The chamber fell silent. The guards stepped back in terror. Marcus stood, frozen. The monster, the hated weapon of the alien king, was speaking like a man. It knew his name, and its voice was not filled with rage. It was filled with something stranger, something almost human. The veteran's heart pounded. The war had ended, but now, standing in front of this creature, Marcus felt that his real battle was only beginning. The moment the dragon spoke his name, Marcus felt his blood run cold. A battlefield monster was not supposed to speak like a man. Not with reason, not with memory, and certainly not with his name. The guards panicked. One dropped his weapon. Another whispered prayers in his alien tongue. None of them wanted to stay in the same chamber with the beast, but Marcus stayed still, his eyes locked on the dragon's. "How do you know me?" Marcus said at last, his voice sharp and controlled. The dragon's massive head lowered, its glowing eyes unblinking. "I have known you longer than you think," it replied, each word heavy, each word echoing like thunder in the chamber. Marcus's fists clenched. Memories of burning cities flashed in his mind. He wanted to strike, to scream, to silence the voice that sounded too human to belong to a monster. Instead, he forced himself to ask, "Why would the alien king give you to me?" The dragon's scales shimmered as it shifted within the cage. "Because he feared me," it said slowly, "and he feared you." The guards muttered among themselves, frightened of the conversation. Marcus turned to them sharply. "Open the cage," he ordered. The guards gasped, shaking their heads. "Impossible," one shouted. "The beast will kill us all." But Marcus stepped forward, his voice colder, harder. "I said open it." For a moment, no one moved. Then one trembling guard pressed a panel. The sound of grinding metal filled the chamber as locks clicked open. The great steel door of the cage groaned, shifting slightly. The dragon did not move. It only watched Marcus with those burning eyes. "You want me free?" the dragon asked, its voice strangely calm. Marcus stepped closer, his boots heavy against the metal floor. "No," he said. "I want to see if you're a liar." The dragon gave a sound, not quite a laugh, not quite a growl. It was a deep vibration that shook the air. "I am many things, Marcus," it said. "But I do not lie." Marcus stopped just outside the cage door, the heat from the dragon's breath burned against his skin. Up close, the scales looked sharper, harder than any armor he had ever seen. But it was the eyes that held him still. Eyes that seemed not animal, but human. Eyes that carried pain, not rage. "I remember the fire you brought," Marcus said bitterly. "I remember my brothers screaming, the earth burning under your wings." The dragon lowered its head until its eyes were level with Marcus's. "I remember too," it whispered. "I remember every scream, every flame, every command I could not refuse." The word struck Marcus harder than a bullet. "What do you mean, could not refuse?" he demanded. The dragon shifted, turning its neck to reveal a scar, a line of metal fused into its scales. "Chains," it said, its voice trembling like the earth before a storm. "Not of iron, but of mind. The king bound me. Force my fire, force my claws. I was not his ally, I was his prisoner." Marcus stared at the scar. The mark was real. Not a story, not a trick, a beast of war, but chained like a slave. And for the first time, Marcus felt not only hate, but doubt. The dragon's voice grew softer, almost like a confession. "When your armies fought, I prayed one of you would end me, but none could. Not even you, Marcus." Marcus felt the weight of those words press against his chest. The idea of this monster, this destroyer praying for death. It twisted everything he thought he knew about the war. The guards broke the silence with shouts. "Enough! Close! The cage! Kill it if you must, but do not listen." They raised their weapons, their fear stronger than their orders. The dragon's eyes narrowed, its chest expanded as if ready to unleash fire. Marcus stepped between the beast and the soldiers, his voice like iron. "No one fires." The guards froze. their hands shaking on their triggers. The dragon looked down at Marcus, its burning eyes softer than before. "You see now," it said. "The king left me to you, not because you were his enemy, but because you are the only one who will decide my fate." Marcus's jaw tightened. He could feel the weight of choice settling on him. Destroy the creature now and end the terror forever. Or listen to it, risk believing its words. But before he could speak, alarms blared through the fortress. Red lights flashed, sirens echoed, a voice shouted over the intercom. "Enemy forces approaching, prepare for combat." The guards rushed out in panic, leaving Marcus alone in the chamber. The dragon's eyes glowed brighter. "This is only the beginning, Marcus," it rumbled. "The Empire does not want me in your hands." Marcus felt the ground shake as distant explosions echoed through the mountain walls. For the first time since the war ended, his heart raced with the same fire as battle. But this time, his enemy was unknown, and his only ally might be the very beast he once swore to kill. The fortress shook again. Louder this time, dust rained from the ceiling. Alarms screamed in every corridor. Marcus stood in the chamber, his eyes fixed on the dragon. The creature's wings flexed, scraping against the cage bars, sparks flying. As scale met steel, outside, the guards shouted orders, running to defend against the unseen attackers. But Marcus knew they would not hold long. The alien empire was not here for war. They were here for the dragon. To kill it, or to take it back. The dragon's voice broke through the chaos, low and steady. "Marcus, they will not let me live. And they will not let you live either. You must choose now." Marcus's hands trembled as he gripped his old rifle. He had sworn never to release the beast, yet the alarms and explosions told him the truth. If the Empire feared the dragon this much, maybe its words carried weight. "You expect me to trust you," Marcus growled. "I watched you burn my brothers. I buried their ashes. And now you tell me you are a prisoner." The dragon lowered its head, fire glowing faintly in its throat. "I cannot erase the fire I gave, but I can give you truth," it said. "If you free me, I will fight at your side, not as a weapon of the king, but as your ally." Marcus felt his heart twist. Trusting this creature was madness, but dying here, trapped between collapsing walls and alien soldiers, was madness too. He stepped forward, pressed his hand against the cage's control panel. The locks clicked, the steel door hissed, and with a roar that shook the chamber, the dragon stepped out. For a moment, Marcus thought it would strike him down. The massive head lowered close, hot breath burning his face. Then, instead of fire, the dragon's wings spread wide. The air swirled, dust blew away. The monster was free, yet it did not kill him. It turned its head toward the hallway where the enemy marched. The first wave of alien soldiers burst through the doors. They opened fire, beams of energy slicing the air. Marcus dived behind a steel column, returning shots with his rifle. The dragon roared. Flames erupted from its throat. The hallway lit like a sun, soldiers screaming as fire consumed them. The battle was chaos, gunfire, explosions, firestorms. But Marcus noticed something strange. The dragon's fire never touched him. It burned around him, but never against him. When the smoke cleared, the first wave was gone. The chamber walls glowed red. The air smelled of ash. Marcus lowered his weapon, breathing hard. The dragon folded its wings, lowering itself beside him. "You fight well," it said, its voice softer now. "Better than most men I have seen." Marcus gave a bitter laugh. "You kill better than most creatures I have seen," he replied, yet deep inside, he knew if the dragon had wanted him dead, he would already be ash. Another explosion shook the ground. Closer this time, the Empire was not finished. Marcus grabbed extra ammunition from a fallen guard. The dragon watched him carefully, its glowing eyes unreadable. "You still do not trust me," it said. Marcus glared at it. "Trust is earned, not spoken." The dragon nodded slowly, almost. "Like a man, then let me earn it. I know a way out of this fortress, a tunnel built by the king himself." Hidden beneath the mountain, Marcus narrowed his eyes. "Why would the king build you a way out?" The dragon's wings shifted uneasily. "It was not for me. It was for him. A coward always builds an escape. Now his path will serve us, Marcus." Considered the words, part of him still screamed to kill the creature while he had the chance. But another part, the soldier in him, the survivor, knew he could not fight an army alone. He needed the dragon, and maybe, just maybe, the dragon needed him too. "Fine," Marcus said at last. His voice low, "Show me the tunnel. But know this, if you turn on me, I'll put a bullet between your eyes before your fire ever reaches me." The dragon's head dipped, almost like a bow. "Then we understand each other," it said. They moved quickly, the fortress collapsing around them. The dragon broke through steel doors with its claws. Marcus covered their path with precise rifle fire. Together, they cut through guards and falling rubble. Man and monster, side by side. Not allies, not yet friends, but bound by survival. Finally, they reached the hidden passage, a massive tunnel carved deep into the mountain. Cold air rushed from its darkness, carrying the smell of freedom. The dragon stepped into the shadows first, its glowing eyes lighting the path. Marcus followed close, rifle steady in his hands. Behind them, the fortress crumbled, swallowed by fire and war. Ahead of them, the unknown waited, and with every step, Marcus realized something he did not want to admit. The monster was no longer just a monster. It was becoming his only hope. The tunnel stretched long and silent, each step echoed against the stone walls. Marcus walked with his rifle ready, his eyes never leaving the shifting shadows ahead. The dragon moved slowly beside him, its scales brushing the walls, sparks lighting the darkness with every scrape. Neither spoke at first. Only the sound of claws against rock and boots on stone filled the air. Marcus did not trust the silence. It felt heavy, as if the tunnel itself was listening. Finally, Marcus broke it. "Why me?" he asked coldly. "Of all the soldiers, of all the enemies your king faced, why did he leave you to me?" The dragon's glowing eyes flickered in the dark. Its voice came low, rumbling like the earth itself. "Because you were the one he feared the most. Not because of your weapons, not because of your army, but because you could not be broken." Marcus's jaw tightened. He hated the thought of being in the alien king's mind at all. He hated me, yes, but that is no reason to leave me his. "Monster," Marcus said. "There is more," the dragon whispered. "There is something he never wanted you or anyone to know." The tunnel grew colder as they moved deeper. The dragon's steps slowed, its massive body lowering until its head was close to Marcus. "I was not his first dragon," it said. Marcus froze, his finger tightening on the trigger. "What do you mean?" The dragon's eyes glowed brighter. "There were others, created before me, born in fire and chained in blood. They were weapons, experiments, failures. The king destroyed them when they disobeyed. I am the last of his kind, but not the first. And I carry what the others carried: knowledge, secrets that should have died with them." Marcus felt a chill crawl up his spine. He had fought wars, seen horrors, but this was something different. A hidden truth buried under years of blood. "What kind of secrets?" he asked. The dragon's voice dropped lower, almost like a whisper in the dark. "The king built his empire not with armies, but with dragons, living weapons bound to his will, and I know where the chains are made. I know how they break. If others find this knowledge, more dragons will rise." and the war you thought ended will begin again. Marcus stopped walking, his boots heavy on the stone. His mind raced. This creature, this hated enemy, was not only a survivor, but a key. A key to the king's greatest secret. If the Empire knew, if humans knew, if anyone knew, the galaxy would drown in fire. "You expect me to believe you?" Marcus said, his voice sharp. The dragon turned its head slowly, scars glinting in the faint light. "I expect nothing," it answered. "But the king believed you were the only one who could decide. You have seen war, Marcus. You know what happens when power falls into the wrong hands." The words cut deep. Marcus had seen greedy commanders turn battles into slaughter for pride. He had seen weapons used not for defense, but for cruelty. And now, here was the greatest weapon of all. Asking him to choose, the tunnel opened into a wide chamber carved. Deep into the mountain, pillars of stone rose high, glowing with faint alien markings. Marcus felt unease crawl across his skin. "This place?" he muttered. "What is it?" The dragon's voice grew darker. This was the king's sanctuary. Here he built the chains. Here he fed the fire. And here he planned his escape, if. The war turned against him. Marcus raised his rifle, scanning the shadows. The chamber felt alive, as if eyes were watching from the walls. The dragon moved to the center, its wings folding close. "I brought you here because you must see what he left behind, and understand the weight he placed on you." The ground trembled as the dragon struck the floor with its claw. The stone cracked, revealing a hidden vault beneath. Inside the vault glowed strange devices. Black steel and red crystal pulsing with light. Marcus stared, his heart pounding. Even without knowing their design, he felt their danger. "These are the chains," the dragon said. The mindbinders, with them, a man could control a beast. Like me, with enough, a man could raise an army of dragons. Marcus gritted his teeth. Every instinct screamed to destroy the vault. But another voice whispered, "What if this could protect Earth? What if this was the weapon to end all wars?" The dragon seemed to sense his conflict. "That is why the king gave me to you," it said softly. "Because he knew no one else could carry this choice. Will you destroy the secret, or will you keep it? Will you be savior or tyrant?" Before Marcus could answer, the chamber shook violently. Explosions thundered above, dust raining from the ceiling. The Empire had found the tunnel. Time was running out. The dragon's eyes locked with his, glowing bright as fire. "Decide quickly, Marcus," it growled, "because if you do not, others will decide for you." The chamber shook harder. Stone dust rained from the ceiling. Cracks spread across the walls. The Empire had found the hidden tunnel, and they were coming fast. Marcus raised his rifle, his heart pounding like war drums. The dragon lowered its head beside him, eyes glowing bright. Neither spoke. Both knew what was coming. The first explosion ripped through the far wall. Flames and smoke poured in, followed by armored soldiers. Their weapons shone with red light. Their boots thundered against the stone. The dragon roared, a sound so deep it made the chamber tremble, and then fire erupted from its throat, turning the tunnel entrance into a storm of burning air. Soldiers screamed, weapons fired. Energy beams struck the dragon's scales and ricocheted like sparks against steel. Marcus moved fast, rolling behind a broken pillar. Picking off enemies with sharp, precise shots, he fought like the veteran he was. Every bullet placed with purpose, but even as he fired, his eyes kept sliding back to the dragon. It fought like a beast unleashed, claws ripping, wings smashing. Stone, fire consuming all, yet still the flames never touched him. Not once. The enemy's numbers grew, wave after wave pouring into the chamber. The dragon turned to Marcus, its voice booming through the fire. "This place will fall. We must move." Marcus hesitated, his rifle hot in his hands. He had sworn not to run again, not to flee from battle, but this was not a battle, it was a trap. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and the vault behind them held secrets too dangerous to be captured. Fine, Marcus spat. But we're sealing this vault. He pulled a grenade from his belt, tossed it inside the open crack. The dragon lowered its wing to shield him as the explosion roared. Stone collapse. Fire buried the strange devices deep under rubble. The vault was gone. For now, move, the dragon commanded. Marcus did not argue. Together, they rushed through the far tunnel. Soldiers chased close behind, their shouts echoing. Like ghosts in the dark, the path narrowed, twisting. Filled with falling rocks from the bombardment above, Marcus stumbled, almost crushed by a falling beam of stone. The dragon's claws swept out, pulling him to safety. For a moment, their eyes met, and Marcus hated what he felt gratitude. They reached another chamber, smaller, with 2 exits. The dragon sniffed the air, its eyes narrowing. They are already ahead of us, it rumbled. Marcus cursed under his breath. We're surrounded. Before they could choose a path, a voice echoed through the chamber, a voice Marcus knew. Marcus, don't fight us. Hand over the beast and you'll live. From the shadows stepped a human commander. His old war comrade, Captain Rourke, the man who had fought beside him on Earth. Marcus froze, shock burning through his chest. Rourke, he whispered, what the hell are you doing here? Rourke's smile was thin, cold. I came to finish what the war could not. That creature doesn't belong to you, Marcus. It belongs to the Empire. Hand it over, and we both walk away rich, powerful men. Marcus's stomach twisted betrayal. Cut deeper than any wound you fought with me, Marcus said, his voice trembling with rage. You buried brothers with me, and now you stand with them. Rourke shrugged. Wars end, Marcus, but power lives on. This dragon is the future, and you can't carry that weight. The dragon growled low, fire flickering at the edges of its jaws. Marcus felt his finger twitch on the trigger, but Rourke lifted his rifle, his men stepping out from the shadows, dozens of them, weapons pointed straight at Marcus and the beast. You've got one chance, old friend, Rourke said coldly. Step aside or die with it. The chamber filled with silence. Marcus stood between his old friend and the dragon, his chest heavy with fury. The dragon's voice broke the silence, calm and steady. Now you see, Marcus, the true enemy is not always alien. Marcus's heart pounded. He looked at Rourke, at the man he had once trusted with his life. And then he looked at the dragon, the monster he had sworn to kill. The choice twisted inside him like a blade. Rourke's rifle clicked. Soldiers took aim. Marcus lifted his weapon, stepping closer to the dragon. His voice was low, hard as stone. If I die, it won't be with you, Rourke. It will be with the only thing left worth fighting for. The dragon roared, wings snapping wide, fire bursting through the chamber. The soldiers screamed. The battle exploded, and in that firestorm, Marcus knew there was no turning back. The chamber burned with fire and smoke. Flames curled across the walls. Shadows of soldiers danced in the orange glow. Marcus fought like a man possessed, his rifle hot in his hands. The dragon roared beside him, its wings smashing through stone, its fire ripping through enemy lines. But Rourke's soldiers kept coming, disciplined, determined. They were not afraid of the dragon like others had been. They moved with purpose, as if they knew exactly what they were facing. Marcus ducked behind a fallen pillar, bullets sparking around him. He shouted above the chaos, "Rourke, why? Why betray everything we fought for?" Through the smoke, Rourke stepped forward, calm, untouched by fear. "You still don't see it, Marcus," he said coldly. "The war you fought, the war you bled for it was never about freedom. It was about power, and you were too blind to see it. Marcus's chest tightened with rage. I buried brothers for that war. He shouted, and you spit on their graves. Rourke's smile was cruel. I honor them more than you do, Marcus, because I'll make sure their deaths mean something. The king may be gone, but his work isn't. With the dragon's secrets. Humanity will rule, not crawl. We'll be the empire, Marcus. The words struck harder than any bullet. Marcus's hand trembled, his rifle shaking. Humanity. The empire. Was Rourke really saying he wanted to replace the king, not fight him? The dragon's voice thundered above the fire. This is why I was given to you, Marcus. The king knew men like him would come, greedy, hungry for the chains. That is why only you can choose. Destroy me or free me, but do not give me to him. Marcus's mind spun. The war was not over. It had only changed faces, and his own comrade was now its new king waiting. Another blast shook the chamber, rubble crashing down. Marcus stumbled, his rifle skidding across the stone. Rourke raised his weapon, aiming straight at him. This is your last chance, old friend. Step aside, and I'll let you live. Stay, and I'll end you. Marcus met his eyes. The same eyes he had trusted in 100 battles, now filled with hunger. A hunger more dangerous than any alien. Before Marcus could move, the dragon's tail lashed. Striking the floor between them, flames burst upward, cutting Rourke off. The dragon leaned close to Marcus, its voice almost human in its sorrow. Listen to me. There is more. The king did not die in battle. He died by betrayal. By one of your own. Marcus froze, his breath caught in his chest. What are you saying? He whispered. The dragon's eyes burned brighter. The king's last command was not against your armies. It was against the ones who plotted with him. Humans who wanted his power. Rourke was one of them. The chamber seemed to spin. Memories twisted together Rourke's strange disappearances during the war. His sudden rise in rank, his secret missions. It all made sense now. The betrayal had not begun here. It had begun long ago. Rourke had been working with the king, and now he wanted to take his throne. Marcus's voice was low, filled with fury. You sold out our brothers. You sold out Earth. Rourke's smile widened. Cruel and empty. I saved Earth, Marcus, by making sure we're not the slaves of aliens. But their masters, you never understood the bigger game. The dragon growled, its wings spreading wide, fire lighting the chamber like dawn. Marcus, if he takes me, the galaxy will burn. If you destroy me, the secret dies with me. But if you choose me, I will fight with you until the end. The choice pressed on Marcus like a mountain. One path meant killing the dragon, ending the nightmare forever. The other meant trusting it, standing against not just the empire, but his own kind. And the third, unspoken path was letting Rourke win. That was a path Marcus could never walk. Rourke raised his rifle, his voice sharp. Decide, Marcus. But know this: if you side with that beast, you'll be fighting me, and I will not hesitate. The chamber shook again. Dust choking the air, Marcus's eyes burned as he lifted his rifle back into his hands. His voice was steady, cold as steel. Then you'll die as a traitor. The dragon roared. Fire erupted. The soldiers screamed. The battle consumed the chamber in light and fury. Marcus's finger pressed the trigger. His choice made, and with that choice, the war was reborn. The chamber was fire and thunder. Rourke's soldiers charged through smoke, their rifles blazing. The dragon's wings beat like storms, each strike shattering stone and scattering men like leaves. Marcus moved through the chaos like a shadow, his rifle spitting fire, his voice silent but his heart roaring. The battle was not numbers, it was survival. Every second felt like the last. The chamber burned, the mountain shook. The world narrowed to Marcus, the dragon, and Rourke. Rourke stood tall in the flames, untouched. His eyes sharp and cruel. He shouted above the chaos, "Marcus, don't you see? This is destiny. You can't kill the future. You can only join it." Marcus fired. His bullet grazing Rourke's shoulder, the traitor didn't flinch. Only smiled through the pain. "You can't stop me." Rourke hissed, "The dragon is mine. The chains will bend to my will. And I will finish what the king began." The dragon roared, fire exploding across the ceiling. "The chains cannot hold me again," it bellowed. "Not while Marcus still breathes." Marcus's chest tightened. The words echoed like a vow. But in that vow was the truth: the dragon's fate was tied to him. If Marcus chose wrong, the galaxy would burn. Rourke lunged forward, his men covering him with heavy fire. Marcus ducked, rolled, and fired back, dropping to soldiers, but more poured in. The dragon swept them aside, but wounds began to show. Blades cut its scales. Bullets sank into its flesh. Its fire dimmed. Its strength waned. Marcus's heart clenched. The beast that had once terrified him now bled for him, and he realized with dread could die here, and if it died, the secret might die with it, or worse, be stolen by Rourke. The chamber shook violently, a final collapse beginning. Chunks of rock rained from above, the mountain itself breaking apart. The dragon staggered, its massive wings folding to shield Marcus. Its voice came deep and heavy. "Marcus, the choice is now. Kill me and end the chain forever, or stand with me, and we will fight. But if you choose me, the war will never end." Marcus's hands shook on his rifle. The memories of his brother's flash burned by fire, killed by war. Then he saw Rourke, a human face twisted by greed, and then the dragon, a monster who spoke with sorrow, who shielded him instead of killing him. The weight crushed him. Rourke raised his weapon, shouting, "End it! Marcus, kill the beast. Stand with me and we'll rule the stars." The dragon lowered its head, eyes glowing but soft. "I was never born to rule. I was born to burn. But with you, I can choose. Let me choose, Marcus, one last time." The mountain roared as stone split, the ceiling tearing open to the night sky above. Stars glittered cold and distant, a reminder of how small they all were. Marcus lifted his rifle, his breath steady. His voice cut through the fire and fury. "I choose neither chains nor crowns." And then he fired, not at the dragon, not at himself, but at the ceiling. The last charge in his rifle cracked through stone. The mountain began to collapse in full, fire and rock swallowing everything. The dragon roared, wings spreading wide. It scooped Marcus in its claws and surged upward through the falling debris. Rourke screamed curses below, swallowed by the collapse. His dream of empire buried in fire and stone. The dragon burst through the mountain's peak into the cold air. Of the night, its wings beat hard, carrying them higher and higher. Below, the fortress crumbled. The empire soldiers crushed, the vault forever lost. Marcus clung to the dragon's claws, the wind cutting his face. He looked up, meeting its burning eyes. For the first time, he did not see a weapon. He saw a choice, a friend, the dragon's. Voice carried on the wind, weak but steady. "You chose well. Marcus, no chains, no crowns, only freedom." Marcus looked out at the stars, endless and silent. The war was not truly over. The galaxy was still full of empires, still full of men like Rourke. But for the first time, Marcus felt something he had lost long ago: hope. The dragon's wings spread wide, carrying them into the unknown, and as they vanished into the night sky, one truth burned brighter than fire. The hated beast was no longer his enemy. It was his last brother in arms.